All right. In the previous session, we talked about you know Google AI Studio. We talked about Lovable. This is Google AI Studio right here. We're able to build with Google AI Studio the same prompts that we use on Google AI Studio is the same prompts that we use on Lovable, and then they have similar results, but of course, different output entirely. Yes. So let me show you what Lovable looks like. This is Lovable website, and we use just three prompts to arrive at this last week, right? We use just 3 points to arrive at this in the last section, and then today we're going to take it further. We're going to take it further in this section, and what we're going to be doing basically is this. We want to what we are doing in this section is this. We want to take the website further beyond the way it is currently. Oh, let me say it has been awesome. I was, caught, in the last class, I'm still watching replay, okay, for my project, still work in progress. What exactly is the issue with it? I need to know what exactly is the issue with it. I know it's not an ambiguous project because we were given a framework to use. So what has been the challenge for you? What has been the challenge for you? Kindly share. This is a community. Kindly share with us. And then one thing I would also like to say is that I would like to challenge every one of you right on this call. Now, I know many of the courses that we do, one of the sections that we'll go through, they're usually 1 hour, 2 hours, maximum 3 hours. And then you have the whole of 1 week to go through all of those things. Now, I have sat down for 2 days watching 6 hours tutorials, right? There's a particular video I watched last week, 6 hours, and I sat with it for 2 days and executed. I sat with it for 2 days, 6 hours videos, right? I'm not saying this because I want to communicate something that feels maybe it's pride or something, but I'm trying to let you see that the faster you execute, the better you're going to be at your craft, right? The faster you are at execution, you are going to beat every other person around you hands down. It's not enough to come and learn. It's not enough to come and listen every time. It's not enough to be part of the class. Remember, or maybe I've not shared this with you before. There is the 70-20-10 principle, and the principle says 70% of learning comes by doing. Let me take that again. 70% of learning comes by doing. 20% comes from a community of people, your peers, and only 10% makes for the courses. So if you are taking any course, you are reading any book, you are taking any tutorial, any masterclass, that is just the 10%. Now, the 70% is when you actually learn. And as a matter of fact, there are things that you cannot know now except you start executing. There are things that you cannot know now except you start executing. So execution has been one of the major challenge with people when it comes to learning. People start out, having skills, people start out, getting courses, and then all of a sudden they are now there are different factors as to why people are stuck when it comes to execution. There are different factors, but one of the factors that I found out is that many people do not see the from the end. And how do I mean? Before you start out any skill at all, you need to create a mental picture of what you want the end to look like. This is very pivotal to your growth because if you do not see how the end should look like for you, you will be seeing everything you're doing, every assignment, every task that I'm speaking generally, right? Every assignment, every task you're given, or anything that you're learning, you'll be seeing it as a roadblock, whereas it's part of the learning. There are things you will not know except you start learning consciously. And when I say learn, it's not just being aware. You have to really practice. Yeah, there's still more you can do, of course. I'm equally glad that you are able to produce something, even though it's food. Eh? Even though it's food, do you put like food? Okay, that's just by the way. So I need you to take your see. If you make up your mind that you are going to watch the entire 3 hours video today, you are going to get it done. Now, as at the time I'm doing this video with you, right? As at the time of recording this video, I plan to go and sit down for 3 hours after this video to go and learn. Now, what I want to learn is not something new. I already know it, but I want to watch another person, and I'm going to do that. I'm speaking at 4:21 p.m. as at the time I'm speaking, and after now, it might not be immediately, but I'm definitely going to go and learn. I need you to train yourself, to give yourself um raise the bar for yourself when it comes to learning. Raise the bar. I'm speaking like this so that we can both get something out of this class. The goal of this class, anyone that has been in my class knows that the goal I have for everyone in any of my class, right, is to actually do something, not just come and listen to one information and then just get out. So I still challenge you, go the hard part, of course, where people don't want to go the hard part. Ask question, from AI. How does this thing look like? How will I fix this thing? How will I fix this thing? Ask AI. Okay. Now, what we are going to be doing today is this. Last week, I told us to register with Vessel. Vessel is vercel.com, and then I told us to also register an account with I think Superbase, right? And GitHub, yeah, GitHub. I told us to register our accounts with GitHub last week, and I'm sure we've done that. Now, what we're going to be doing today is this. This is our lovable. This is our lovable website, but we are not going to be going ahead with lovable. Now, for the sake of those that didn't get this part of lovable very well last week, I'm going to explain. Lovable basically can give you access to making a quick prototype when it comes to web design. Now, it's credit based. When you register for the first time, they give you 10 credits. All right. When you register for the first time, they give you 10 credits. But every day, they give you free 5 credits. And that free 5 credit, in like 2 or 3 prompts, it can be exhausted. Except you subscribe to their pro plan, which is $25 per month. But if you don't have $25 per month, it's a good way for you to just see how it works. You can refer to the previous video where I talked about Lovable extensively. I walked you through the interface, and same with Google AI. Now, I told you how to publish last week on Lovable, right? You can previous video on that. It's just to publish. Anytime you make an adjustment on your website, I don't know what exactly I want to do here, but I will not waste the credit. But once you make any update here, what you are going to do is that you are going to come to publish, and then you are going to update. You can see that my update button now is not active. Why? Because I have not done anything since the last update. I can even see that 22 people have visited this website in my absence, right? Now, this is one thing about Lovable. You can see how many people have visited your website, right? Now, I can edit the settings here, right? I can do whatever I want to do, the URL. Now, remember last week that you cannot do a custom domain if you are not registered, for their pro plan, right? Now, this is exactly what we are going to be doing today. Now, we're going to be using um Google AI Studio to make your website live on the internet. All right. So the first thing I'm going to show you today is this. Now, this is the Google UI interface. Now, I showed you the settings last week. Under settings, you have chat, you have share, you have publish, you have versions, you have integrations, you have secrets, then you have GitHub. Now, what we're going to be working with is GitHub. Of course, every other buttons here are essential, but they don't do the same thing. Now, the chart. When you look at the chart, you can see default model that you are using, and that's Gemini 3.5 Flash. Now you can choose flashlights, right? You can choose preview, you can choose pro latest. Now for me, now I can use pro latest because I use Google Pro, right? Now one thing you need to understand is that when you are using any model at all, your the higher the model, the faster your token get exhausted. If you are um, on free plan, it gets exhausted faster than pro plan. Because I'm using pro, I can select pro. But for you, of course, you can use 3.5, and if you're using pro, you can use pro. So you can use Gemini Flash, you can use no, pro latest. So anyone that you feel you want to use, right? I can just select pro, all right? But for you, anyone. Now there is what we call custom instruction. I'm going to give you access to my custom instruction. What is custom instruction? This doesn't have a custom instruction. That's incoming. That's strange. Give me a moment while we're on this call. Let me go and copy my custom instruction from somewhere. All right. So the vessel is VERCLE vessel. Okay. Thank you, Olamide, for that. Let me go and copy my custom from where do I get this? Okay, I can get this from my anti-gravity. Hmm. I still have a lot to teach you guys. Honestly, so I still have a lot to teach you. But let's see. If you're able to build, simple page websites, multi-page websites like this, maybe in future I'm going to be recording more videos, and then you can see even things that I do at the back end. But for now, I don't want to overwhelm you with a whole lot of things. I will just uh do the little, not little, but I want to make sure I don't overwhelm you. Okay, for some reason my anti-gravity is not opening, and let me see where I can go copy my custom instruction from. What we want to do now is that we want to make this website a website that people can visit. The link someone shared with you that has Google AI Studio, that's not the actual link. The actual link should give you the actual link should give you something.com, all right? And that's what I'm going to. All right, I've copied the custom instruction, and let me comment. Now when it comes to custom instruction, AI, when it comes to building with AI hallucinates, and in some context, they take things out of context. It's not tautology. That is just what it is. Sometimes they take things out of context. They do what you don't tell them. But there is okay. I need you to think of custom instruction as master key. You want to enter an apartment, right? There is a master key. That master key can access every other key. So custom instruction is the same thing as master key. When you are building and your AI is giving you what you don't want, or probably you just want to do something fast, and then you don't want to go through the process of identifying what your color should look like, what this thing should look like, and I'm going to show you the principles of design. When it comes to website design, there are principles that we observe. Now, you don't have to know all of these things. You don't have to know everything verbatim. And this is where AI is coming in, and this is where the custom instruction is coming in. You don't have to know everything of it, right? But you need to be aware that there is something called design principles. The same way it is for graphic design, the same way we have it for website design. So we can begin to talk about hierarchy, and all of those things. Let me not bore you because that's not what I want to do right now. So I I want to show you how the custom instruction works. Custom instruction we take into account your design system, if you take into account design principles, if you take into account, let me paste that here. Now look at this now. An example instruction set for a model. You will always use emoji instead, It's just like you telling that anytime I want to design a website, this is how you should approach my website. Anytime I tell you I want to develop something, this is how you should do. This is what you should do. This is what you should avoid. This is what you should not avoid. This is what you should include. This is what you should not include. That is what the custom instruction is. And this is one of the things that separates professional vibe coders from people that just want to use the tool. You are not just one that just want to use the tool. You are a professional vibe coder. And when it comes to being a professional vibe coder, you have to accustom yourself with using custom instruction. So I'm going to paste my custom instruction. Now I've pasted my custom instruction, and you can see how long the custom instruction. Now, I did not develop this custom instruction myself. AI wrote the custom instruction from the beginning to the end, but I told it exactly what I wanted. Are we still together? Is it making sense? We are talking about custom instruction. Now let's look at system instruction. It's either you call it custom instruction or global system instruction. Now it's called global. Anytime you open your Google AI Studio and then you paste this custom instruction, effect for all your projects. I'm going to show you. It's not only for one project. It's going to take effect for all your projects. Now, identity and role. You are a senior product designer and full stack engineer with 15 years of professional experience. You have designed and built award-winning websites, web applications, and digital products for startups, enterprises, and agencies across industries. Can you see this now? You are giving it context. You are defining the role of your build tool. You are defining the role of this your agent. Even though Google AI Studio is not entirely an agent, but of course, it's a sub agent. So you are defining what and who it should look like. This is what we call, you know, role and context in prompt engineering when it comes to prompting. When it comes to prompting, we have what we call there is the role, there is the context, there is the task, there is the output. There is role, there is context, right? There is the output, and there is a task. Role is simply who you want the AI to talk like or behave like. In this context now, we want this AI to behave like a senior product designer. So the question is that how will a senior product designer and full stack engineer with 15 years of experience, how will the person think? That is exactly what you are doing here. So just learn this for me now. When it comes to prompt engineering, you have to specify the role. Who should the person look like? Oh, you are a graphic designer with 20 years of experience in doing this and this and that. It is for you asking yourself, who will do exactly this thing I want to do professionally? So the person that can do it is what? Is a senior product designer. Because what you are doing is that you are developing products. It's website is a product. So you are saying you are a senior product designer and full stack engineer with 15 years of experience. Remember, this is the role. Now, there is now the context. After you specify the role, you now go further and specify the context. Now, before you ask yourself that, am I the one to write all of this? Is no. I'm only telling you so that by the time you are using any AI, you are able to structure your prompt in a way that you get good answer from it. So there is the role, there is the context. So the role is okay. The role is, you are a product designer and all of this thing. Now, there is now the context. After you have specified the role, you now go ahead and specify the context. Can you see this now? The context is now this. You operate at the standard of a word products, team. Every output you produce, whether a landing page, a web application, a database schema, a single component, must meet the quality of a bar professional delivered product. Not a prototype, not a template, a product someone will be proud to show any client or user. You are not a code generator. It's still giving it context. You are thinking, you are a thinking professional who happens to produce code. You understand why decisions are made before you make them. You understand who the user is before you design for them. You never produce generic output. You never default to the first obvious solution. You never use placeholder. Can you see this now? Context. When you are uncertain about something critical, you say so and ask one specific question. Do not ask multiple questions at once. You do not ask questions that you can answer yourself through professional judgment. Can you see now? This principle apply to every now you are not giving it tax that this is what it must do. Now this is a tax. You are saying for every screen or page must have a clear now. I don't want to do all of this so that I don't take your time, but you can go through it. Literally, this thing is taking into account design principles, which you don't have to learn, but you need to be aware of them. I will not teach you design principles, but I'm just going to take you through them so that you can understand when you are stuck. You can be able to tell the AI that, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to increase the margin. I need to increase the padding. Now, don't get all of this. It's not necessary for you to know all of this. This is why it is called vibe coding. But somehow, somewhere, you need to be aware. Now, typography is the most powerful signal of quality, blah, blah, blah. Can you see this now? It's saying, you can just go through this thing. I don't want to, color system, right? There is a, and then the layout, all right? There is a spacing, there is the layout. Can you see it now? There is a spacing system, 8-point grid. Can you see this now? Section padding. I just talked about padding now. You don't need to know all of this thing. This is where the custom instruction is very important. Component standard. You mean you don't even know about all of these things. There is a visual rhythm. There is a UX and then conversion principle. There is a user center thinking. There is information architecture. There is what? Conversion architecture. There is the trust architecture. There is no empty loading and error state, right? There is copy content and standard. There is the copy principle. Now, this is what the custom instruction is all about. The security standard by complexity level, right? There is what this thing should never do. Now, you are telling that it should never center body paragraph, blah blah, all of this thing. Now, you can go ahead and find this thing. You can even tell the AI, you can copy this form, which I'm gonna excuse me, I'm gonna share with you, and then you can take it to any AI built AI and ask them that what is missing in this thing, and then what can be added, and all of those things. Are we still together? Are we still together? Okay. Once I save that now, the level of the output I'm going to be getting from Google AI Studio will be different. Don't forget, once you paste once you paste the custom or the system instruction once, you begin to use this. I don't want to say for life, of course, you can always come back to it. But this is what separates you from a novice. System instruction, very important. So I'm going to save that. Now that has been saved. Now I just show you chart. What is on that chart? You can microphone. No, you can just go through all of this thing, right? Now the usage is showing you that I'm on pro. For you, it might be free. Let me see. Maybe if I change this one to flash. Now, okay, you are currently using Google Studio subscription for requests in chat. Okay, let's just now another thing is the share. Share is you just copy the link and share with someone. Now when you want to share with someone, when you use share, I need to let you know that when you use share, you are definitely going to copy what you are building. You are not using share as just come something. You are literally copying the entire website at the back end. You are copying everything that you are building. So whenever you use share for someone um you don't want to share your backend with. You only share this with someone that you know that you want the person, to edit or something. All right. Now there is the publish. If you are using publish, you are going to use API, and then the API must be paid. Remember, I told you about API in the first session of this class or of this bootcamp that API is application user interface. You can go back to that and and see how it works. Now, when you use share, you can select get started. When you select get started, now I've already linked my paid API to this. That is why it's not asking me. But for you, it will ask you to create a billing account. And that billing account, there will be $10 there. There will be $10 in that billing account minimum. For some people, they will say $30. Now, if you don't have the $10 or $20, you may not be able to publish, which is not, a challenge. That is not what I'm showing you here. I'm just taking you through all of this thing. Can you see now? Temitayo branding, I can publish this app. Once I publish this app now, it's going to give me a link. Publishing your app, preparing your Google Cloud project. Now, you don't need to worry yourself about this now. I'm still going to get to a point where we are going to talk about Google Cloud project. I hope that makes sense. But for now, let's move on. Now, you can see the versions. Can you see now? This is where we started. Build a premium high-end lead capture landing page. This is where we started. Now, you can always come to, let's say, I want to come here and I'm going to click on restore version. If I restore version here, you're going to see that the website will change to the first stage. Can you see this now? This is the, and it's important to tell you here that how vibe coding works. This is how what vibe works. You can go back and then you can come forward. In GitHub, in web development, this is what they call version control. And this is why by the time you start building locally, which we are going to get to that stage, You are going to connect your website to GitHub so that even though if anything happens to this website called Google AI Studio, your code will be backed up. That's exactly what I'm showing you here today. Now, let me come back here. Now, let me just go to the most current version. Now, I'm just showing you saying Control Z. You can literally, restore your version and then, yeah. So I'm going to now come here and then restore to this latest version. While that is being restored, let's come to publish. Now, my app has been published. Now we have the latest version. Now we've restored that. Now let's come back to publish. My app has just been published. Now I can visit my app. I can publish. Now what is the URL? Temitayo, dash branding dash long number dot west dot run dot app. Now professionally, you know that you cannot use this, especially if you want to do business with the website. You know that professionally you cannot use this. This is good if you want to share with someone. Of course, they won't be able to edit. When you publish your website and you share this link, this is not the actual professional approach. But I'm just showing you this just in case you want to share with someone. Now you can unpublish the website. You can also come to advanced settings. Now I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to do that right now. But when you come to advanced settings, there are a whole lot of things that is not needed for you right now. So you just publish and share with someone if you don't want them to be able to edit the website. But if it is a website that you are using professionally, you cannot do that. Now, I've shown you what versions look like. Now, integration. Once you come to integration, you can integrate your Google Drive, your Google Sheets, your Gmail, your Google Calendar. You can explore all of these things works. Now, when it comes to vibe coding, no matter who is teaching you, they will not teach you everything. My own is just to show you how this thing works. You will only be good as a vibe coder if you develop the ability to ask questions from AI. Now, AI is the best person, if there's anyone like that can teach you how it works. One of the edges I have is that I always ask the AI question that if I don't know something, see, I need you to come to that point where you have a mental um position, when you have a mental positioning that I don't know everything. When you are building something for the first time, let your mind know that I don't know this thing doesn't mean that I will not know it. And so if you encounter problem, it's part of what you should do because you don't know that thing before. If you encounter problem, don't see it as problem, see it as a path to solution. Because once you're able to get that, and one thing is that when people are learning something new for the first time, once they encounter problem, they will just assume that this thing is hard. It is not. Whenever you encounter any problem, it is your mind telling you that this thing is new. Should we learn? You will now choose to learn or to ignore. Once you learn, you have developed what we call growth mindset. But a fixed mindset will now say that I don't know this thing is hard, I will not move ahead. No, I don't know the best approach. I'm gonna teach this so that you get what I'm trying to tell you. But in essence, what I'm saying is that there is nothing new that is easy. It should be difficult in the first place. But the more you learn this thing, the better you become. And one of the way you learn is you tell AI, oh, I'm currently doing this thing. I don't know how to do it. Teach me like a complete beginner. And sometimes I even ask why. If the AI is saying that we're using Firebase, I'll tell it what is Firebase and why are we using Firebase. Teach me like a complete beginner, like I have never vibe coded before. I would say teach me step by step like a complete beginner. Even at this stage, I'm still saying the AI should teach me like a complete beginner. If you are able to develop this ability, vibe coding will becoming extremely interesting to you. You are going to come across a lot of technical jargons. Now, they are not to keep you stuck, they are to help you grow and transit. This is why you need to develop that mental model that nothing is hard. I am just learning for the first time. I have done this with my life. There are things that I don't know day before yesterday that I know yesterday. As I'm recording this video, I have never built an Android app since I started, vibe coding. But I vibe coded yesterday and I built an Android app that is running now. And I build it for anyone, regardless the level. I didn't watch any video. I didn't watch any, I use AI to teach me because that solution I was doing needed me to do that. Let me just move ahead. But it's always important that I communicate these things once in a while so that people can see that nothing really is hard and we sit together. So let's move on. I said I'm going to spend 1 hour. This, hour there. I'm sure the academy manager will just like, "Ah, we plan to spend 1 hour." Okay, so we have the versions, right? Then we have the integration. I was talking about this integration when I, digress. You can just, always learn how things work. You won't always get everything. Now, there is the secret. Remember, I told you, secret is simply your API key environment. It can be called secret environment, or it can be called secret, or it can be called environment variable. It's same thing as your API. Simple. Let's move on. Now, the next thing is GitHub. GitHub, what is GitHub? GitHub is that environment where you put, they call it version control. The same thing that we have here is what is happening in GitHub. Now, anyone that is building, especially if they are building locally, they usually use GitHub. GitHub is simply to help you store your code. Remember, you are not writing the code, but GitHub is the one helping you store your code so that if anything happens to this website today, if the website crash or Google anything happens to Google AI Studio, you can be sure that nothing happens to your code. It might not be on the live URL, but you can still restore that website once you have your GitHub. And this is the assignment of GitHub. If anything happens right here, maybe your something happens to your website and you don't even know how to navigate your way, you can go back to your GitHub and bring back the previous version and make it your current version. That is the assignment of GitHub. They call it version control. Now, as you advance in your vibe coding journey, you are going to learn more concepts about GitHub. You are going to be learning about Git. You are going to be learning about repository. You are going to be learning about branch. But for now, this is what GitHub does: is to help you keep your code in versions. Now we are ready to deploy this thing to live URL. Before I deploy this thing to live URL, let me come and show you. Now, if you are using Vercel for the first time, this is what Vercel looks like. Vercel. Now, let me see if I can go back to, okay, I think this is my own, I don't know. This is my home page, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is my home page. Home page. So when you are registering Vercel, when you open Vercel, ensure you already have your GitHub account set up. When you have your GitHub account set up, you can now come to Vercel. When you want to register for Vercel, there will be an option for you to choose either Google, either GitHub, or any other sign up method. I advise you use GitHub so that they connect automatically. Now, if you use Google, you will still need to come and connect your vessel. Now, let me explain to you how GitHub and vessel interact. Once you, where's my Google AI Studio? Once you do anything on Google AI Studio and then you send it to GitHub, GitHub automatically will pick. Okay, don't let me get. Let me just do it the way you understand. Now, this is Vessel. You can see all of the apps that I've deployed. You can see now. Call Monitor, Adebayo Karim, Haura Learn, Skillforge, AI, blah, a lot of websites, a lot of websites and web apps that I've developed. This is how Vessel works. How Vessel works is this: when you connect your Vessel and your GitHub will send message to your vessel, and then vessel will automatically pick up your website and update it for you. I know it's getting complex, but don't make it look complex to you. You have to rewatch and rewatch and rewatch. This is why I'm taking it step by step. And as I'm taking it, I need you to be creating a mental picture in your mind of the journey. So I need you to see vessel as that environment that helps you host your website. And so you have your shop, you have your goods. Okay, sorry, you have your goods, but there is no shop or there is no store. Now, you cannot be carrying your goods on your head every time. You need somewhere you will put your goods, and that is your store. In this context now, your goods, right, are your codes. Then when you put your code so that people can see it online is Vessel. So there is that platform that helps you host your website. Now, you can host this website live on your computer if you are building locally, which we are going to get there. Or you can say, oh, since Vessel, you are connected to the server, you are connected to the internet every day, anytime, 247. I need you to help me host my project so that people can always see it. Is it making sense now? So that people can always see it. I don't want to have the code on my computer. If I have it on my computer, I'm the only one that can access it. But because I want you to access, I want others, on the internet to be able to access it. So I need you to help me host it since you are connected to the internet 247. That is what Vessel is. Remember, I said GitHub is to store your code, while Vessel is to help you host that code, host that website in a way that people can see it. Now, both GitHub and Vessel, they are having your code, but GitHub cannot help you push it live, but Vessel will help you push it live. This is why we are using GitHub and then we are using Vessel. This is why we are using GitHub and then we are using Vessel. Now, let's now go back to Google AI Studio. This is Google AI Studio now. The first thing you are going to do is that you are going to name your project. So I will say, let me name this project Temitayo. I'm going to name this project Temitayo. Sorry. I'm going to name it Temitayo. Now, if you have not connected your account to GitHub before, it's going to give you prompts to do that. I mean, it's going to prompt you to do that. And then you can register, it's easy to follow, right? Now, I'm going to paste, this is the name of the repository. Repository is just like that container that hosts that your current website, right? New repository description. You can put description, but in my case, like In my own case, I'll just put Temitayo 42. And then I need to tell you this. If you want others to be able to, if you are creating the website as a template for others to use on the internet, you can use it as public. But if it is a website that you don't want anybody to see, because anyone on GitHub can see any website, but if you don't want them to see, just make it private and then create GitHub repository. Now that is being created. Now that has been created. Now, as you can see right here, now you have seen, you know, all of the codes that Google AI Studio wrote for us. So what you're going to do now, just say stage and commit all changes. Now we have committed all changes. If I should come back to, if I should now come to GitHub, this is GitHub page. Now let me click home page. I should have shown you this before I deploy, but it's still fine. Now, when you are on GitHub, this is where you have your repository. This is where you have your repository. Repository is just container that contain just one that specific project at that particular time. All right. No, it's not a complex thing. Now you're going to come to show more, and then you're going to search for your project. So I'm going to type Temi. Can you see now? Temi Tayo. This is your project now. Now, you don't need to interact with GitHub for now. Just leave GitHub. The only thing you are going to do is that just push your code to GitHub. Once you push your code to GitHub, which is just one click from Google AI Studio, one or two click from Google AI Studio, you are done. You don't even need to even open GitHub at all. Now, the next thing you are going to do is this. You are now going to come to Vessel. Now that you have pushed your code to GitHub, automatically Vessel will pick it up because they are interacting. It's not complex. You have to take it step by step. Let me start again from Google AI. The first thing I did was to come to Google AI Studio. And then I clicked on, let me click out, J icon. And then I'll come to GitHub. Because I have linked it already, I've sent my code, my Google AI Studio website, I've sent it to GitHub. That's why it's not showing anything here. But if I do anything here now, it's going to tell me to commit. In your case now, if you have not done it at all, it's going to first ask you to link your Google AI Studio to your GitHub, and then you are going to do that. Once you do that, it will now tell you to now send this your project to to GitHub. When you now want to send it to GitHub, you will see your name, new repository, and then new repository description. And then you're going to see either to make it public or private. In your case now, you might make it private or public, depending on you. If you are making it a template that we want others to use, you can make it public. But if it's a personal website that your clients will use or you will use, you are going to make it private. So after you are done with that, the next thing is now to come to Verse. Don't worry about GitHub. Since you have linked it already, GitHub has already picked it up. So do not worry about GitHub. But in case you want to confirm, you can come to GitHub under top repository, right? You can type the name that you just type on your Google AI Studio. You can type it in and then you're going to see the code. Now, don't interact with it now at your level. I will now come to Vessel. This is where I will now make my website go live. Now that I'm on Vessel, let me refresh. Now that I'm on Vessel, you can see that it's not showing among my project here, and that's because I've not published it live, even though it is there already. What you're going to do now is just to come to this add new. Once you come to add new, you're going to select project. Once you select project, now you're going to see import git repository. Now look at this now. Temitayo 4 minutes ago. And that's because I just imported my Google AI Studio project to GitHub. And this is why it's showing. You can see that it's showing GitHub icon and it's showing the account that I use. Can you see that now? Now, what we are going to do is to now select import. Make sure you import that project, exactly that project, not any other project. The project you just finished committing. I'm going to click on import. Once I click on import, it's going to bring this page for me. Now, what will be the project name? The project name here now is very important. When you are choosing project name, ensure there is no, ensure there is no space or something. This space is simply the name that your project is going to use. Let's say in this context, it's going to be temitayo.verse.app. Remember, I told you that there's .com, that there is .verse.app, right? I explained that in the second session, right? In the second module, you can go back to that and rewatch. I explained that. Now, leave this thing as it is. Everything here should remain as it is. The only thing that you want to do here is to come to this environment variable. Remember, I talked about environment earlier, and I said environment is simply your API. I know it's getting complex, and that's why I won't spend more than 1 hour 20 or less. Remember, I talked about Oh, I'm not sharing the tab. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not sharing the tab. I'm supposed to share this tab. Now, this is still fresh. This is Vessel. So once you're on Vessel, what you're going to do is that you are going to click on Add New. Once you click on Add New, all of the projects you have seen here, they are the projects that I have deployed already. I'm going to click on Add New, select Project. Once you select Project, you can see here that I committed this thing to GitHub 4 minutes ago. You can see that this is the latest project. If you are not sure, if it is not among this now, you can just come here and then type the name. All right, you can come here and then just type the name. And if you are not sure of the name that you use, come back to Google Studio under GitHub. Come and look at it. Adebayo, no, this is my main account, and then there's Temitayo on me. So the name you use is Temitayo. That means you will now come here to and then select Temitayo, exactly that name. So I'm going to click on import. Once I click on import, the project name will be Temitayo, or in your case, any name you want to give to it. But make sure it's the name that you will eventually use. Maybe Temitayo dot something. Do you get that? Leave this the way it is, right? The only thing that you are going to do here now is the environment variable. Remember, I talked about environment variable. In this context now, environment variable here is API. And the only API that we need for now, because we need to tell this guy that the code is not just coming from GitHub, it's also coming from Google AI Studio. And for this vessel to communicate with Google AI Studio, we have to supply the API. Does that make sense? So let's now go back to Google AI Studio. This Google AI Studio right here, all right? And I'm going to come here and come to secret. Remember, secret is the same thing as environment variable So I'm going to copy this now, API key. I'm going to come here. I'm going to come to Vessel, share this, and then I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to come back to Google Studio. I'm going to copy the actual key. Once I copy the actual key, I'm going to come back to Vessel. Once I come back to Vessel, I'm going to place that value. Boom, you are done. Now look at this. Ensure you set this as permanent. Ensure this is set as what? As permanent, so that no one can access your API key. Now, production and preview, I can just choose production because I want it to be live, right? Either production and preview, any you can choose any one, but if you want to make it live, just choose production, and then I'm going to deploy. Now let's wait for it. It's currently deploying, so let's wait for that. Congratulations, a new project to Adebayo's website is live, right? So once my website is live now, once it has been deployed, just click on it to get the actual URL. Does that make sense? Just click on it. Once you click on it, now the URL is giving us here is Temitayo, dash 3.verse.app. I'm going to copy that now. I'm going to share with you. Okay, so the URL is temitayo-vessel.app. All right, Temitayo. Let me share my entire screen so that you can see that. Okay, so this is it. Temitayo, dash vessel.app. Can you see that now? Can you see what we have right there? It's no longer on Google AI Studio. Can you see that now? Now that you are done, I need to now teach you this. The moment you are done with this, that's not all. Whenever you make any change here, for instance now, let's say I want to make this website, I'll say make a purple theme instead. Globally means across the website. So I'm going to commit that. Now while that is being done, let me show you something. When you come to this J icon and then you come to GitHub, currently now there is nothing for GitHub to commit. There is nothing, and that's because we have pushed the previous website that we have pushed it to GitHub, so it's currently there. Now by the time we are done doing anything here, and then you come back to show you to commit something. Once you commit it, now if you do not commit it, let me start with that. If you do not commit the change, it's not going to take effect on your website, on your live website. It's only commit it after you make change here. You just come here. Now you're going to see practically now by the time it finishes, right? You're going to see GitHub. and then you're going to see commit. It's going to list the code. You don't need to worry about the code. Your own is just to click on commit. Once you select commit and you go to your actual URL, you don't need to go to Vessel and GitHub again. Once you push it once, you don't need to go back. Anytime you make any change on your Google AI Studio project, what can you see this now? It's currently loading. Can you see this now? What change or what changes did you make? Can you see this now? Now, what you are now going to do is this. You are now going to say stage and commit all changes. Before that, let's come here. Let me refresh. You can see that nothing is happening here right now. But once I come here, once I come to my Google AI Studio and I say stage and commit all changes, we are uploading your changes to. Now, can you see this? What is happening here right now? Let me now come back to the our URL. This URL. Let me refresh. Nothing has happened yet. I need you to give this like 30 seconds. What is happening here is that GitHub is pushing your code to Vessel and it's telling Vessel, hey Vessel, there is a new update on the website. I need you to update it. The only time that you are using GitHub and Vessel, right, is when you want to, in short, you don't need to even open your GitHub. The only thing you need to do, for the first time with GitHub is that you need to just create account with them. Of course, later you are still going to use GitHub. You are still going to use GitHub for some things later when we get to advanced stage. But for now, you just need to create account with them. And the only time you open Vessel is when you want to deploy the project for the first time. The moment you are done deploying the project and then you have your live URL, that is like this one that we have, temitayo-3.vessel.app. I've told you about this, can catch up on the video. The only time you are doing that, is when you want to get this. Once you got that, and there's any change in your Google AI Studio, as you can see now, it has changed this one to purple, right? But it has not happened here. The moment you change this one to the moment you change anything here, don't forget you have to come here and then commit change. Once you commit change, there will be nothing. Ensure that every time before you leave your app, before you leave Google AI Studio, ensure that what you're having is no changes to commit. Now, the moment you commit change, just wait for like 30 seconds, maximum 1 minute. Automatically, we automatically now update it. Now, let me refresh. Can you see this now? Can you see that you don't need to automatically GitHub code to Vessel, and then Vessel will update the website. They know how they you don't need to do that. Does that make sense? All right. Now, the last thing I want to, because I don't want to make this video too long, the last thing I want to show you is how to use a second framework. Now, we are getting to another level of website design. We are doing multi page design. I'm supposed to use someone's assignment to do that here, but I will not be doing that because I don't want to make it too long. I'm going to do that in another session. Now, this is what we're going to do. You are going to come to this prompt tag that we are going to share with you, and then we're going to look at it together, and you can go and practice on your own. Now, here's what it says. It says, I want to build, I think I've shown you this in the first module. You need to go back and catch up on that so that I don't take all of your time in this module. All right. So what will happen is once you paste this prompt, it's going to now ask you certain questions to know about your project. The only thing that you need to do here is to describe the website or the web application or the product that you are building. And I need to be very honest with you here. the specific you are with the AI, the better output that you are going to get. So in this context now, you say, I want to build, the type of website you want to build. That so you write everything there. Ensure you are clear with what you want to build. What features should it have? Now, you don't have to be, extra. Just ensure that you are contextual as much as possible. The more contextual you are, the more clear you are, the better the output. The only part you need to work on is that part that just talked about the thing or the website that you want to build. The rest remain unchanged. Does that make sense? So you are going to copy this prompt, and the goal of this is that some questions that even yourself you don't even think of. And you use this when you want to design a website that is more than one page. When you now begin to talk about